All right, recording. All right, ready when you are, Kim.
All right. How's everybody doing? Does anybody have questions from the last session on Monday? If not, we will jump right into Wednesdays because it's not like we don't have nothing to do because we do. All right. Where did we go? Alt. So share and share. Everybody can see the screen, right? Perfect.
Yep, that's it.
All right. So that ain't the pitch. We are talking about leads today. I will say that I've been going through the homework. There are quite a few folks who are doing a really good job, done some work, and we are going to be talking about how to really nurture and increase those leads and create a process around the leads because it's really, as we said on Monday, getting that problem nailed down, getting that target customer nailed down is really going to be what points you to your leads. So marketing, sales, you'll hear those things used interchangeably, but they are very different things. Marketing is literally all about generating leads, how you get customers. Sales is converting those leads into customers. So marketing is leads, sales is customers. Your leads come in from many different places. You can bring them in from external efforts or internal, inbound. Inbound is very passive. I see a lot of word of mouth on the homework. Word of mouth is probably the most dangerous way to collect leads because you have no control over that narrative. You might have wonderful word of mouth on Monday, and on Wednesday, you got two people who don't like you, are changing the narrative, and now your whole your lead pipeline is affected by somebody else's opinion. You want marketing that you control and marketing that you measure. That's outbound marketing. Those are channels where you're doing, and outbound is 99% paid. So just recognize that you should, in all of your businesses, have some sort of budget set aside specifically for marketing. Marketing is the lifeblood of a business. And I want someone, I'm putting the chat up here. I want someone to tell me approximately how many people across the world know who McDonald's is? Rough number.
Millions.
Throw that in the chat. How many people? 3 billion, billions. Yep. 8 billion, 5 billion. Cool. How about Coca-Cola? How many people know who Coca-Cola is? All the world, Lorraine said. I'm with you. Worldwide, yep, 13 billion, 4 billion, 99% of the population. Perfect. So now I want to ask this question, and I want someone who has a good answer to throw that in the chat. If these companies that billions of people know who they are, 99% of the population knows who they are, yet they still advertise, why do you think you don't need to advertise? If people already know who they are and they still spend millions advertising, If no one knows who you are, why don't you need to pay for advertising? Sasha says, fair point. I want you to get accustomed to the fact that paid advertising is the cost of doing business. It is a way you can control and measure your leads, and your leads are what feeds your business. You need leads. We're going to show you, I think in here, I might have a funnel in here, show you about the funnel and why it's so important to keep that funnel full of leads. Questions? Okay, somebody's got to mute. The customer journey. This is something, an exercise all of you should do. And this is really mapping out from the very moment someone hears about you till after they've purchased and you're servicing them after the sale. What is that process? Who do they talk to? What do they see? What materials do they get? What page do they land on? What's that process? Because that's going to tell you a lot about what you need to have in place, what you need to be building, what your customer is expecting to see, how to differentiate yourself. These are when we talk about unique value propositions, the customer journey is an excellent, excellent way to build in that differentiation. If everybody is sending, all your competition is sending their leads to a landing page that's full of sales material, and you send them to a website that's got material, free resources or free information that they can use to make a buying decision, that's a huge differentiator right there. The customer experience is a differentiator. Delivery is a differentiator. So building that journey, literally from the time that they hear who you are until the time that they are ambassadors for your business, that's a whole map that you should build out. I believe I have a template that I can send. I will check. But even if I don't have a template, and even you can even look them up online, but you should sit down with a pen and paper. What do I want my customer to see, feel, experience, learn, do all through that journey? What do you need? What technology do you need to have in place? What materials, collateral do you need to have in place for that piece of the journey? That's all part of building out how that person goes from a lead to being a customer. So if you have that on paper, you can really start to build that out and build out, we talked earlier about the guy who had one tank and people thought he was huge. That is a way to make yourself look and feel much bigger than you actually are by having a very well thought out, smooth customer journey. That's definitely something bigger companies have because they have the resources to put to it. But now with AI, you can create one that is equally smooth for your target customer. But it requires you to know who they are. It requires you to know what they're looking for, what they expect at each step in the journey. Back to talking to your customers. So we talk about marketing inbound and outbound. Inbound is a lot of the social media stuff. I'm going to make a post on Instagram that I have this thing to sell or this business that I do, and I'm going to wait for people to DM me. I'm going to tell people when I go to this networking event that I have this business, and then I'm going to wait for people to call me. That is very passive and can be part of it, but it definitely should not be the majority of your marketing. In this early stage, You need as many people as possible to know who you are, what you do, what the problem is that you solve. That's all in that marketing messaging. And it's worth it to pay. I don't know how many actually watch Shark Tank. I mentioned it. Shark Tank, people, watch Shark Tank. You will hear people, this lady, look at this. This lady had, those Stanley Cups? She made this little heart sticker thing to go on the Stanley Cup, and you dangle little charmy things off of it. And she came on the Shark Tank. I said, no, for real. She about to get ate up by these sharks. Till this little girl said, yes, I have $10 million in sales. $10 million? Advertising on TikTok. You heard that? $10 million. I said, if look, get that advertising budget, figure out where your people are, and pay to get in front of their eyes. It is a whole process doing advertising, but it pays you back 10 times over if you do it right. Questions other than where she advertised? Because I don't know. Because if I did, I'd have went tomorrow and bought them darn charms. Her name is Char Charms online if you want to see her. Any questions? Sasha.
Hi, yes. Love this conversation. When it comes to marketing, I've done more organic, more creative-based marketing, just more word of mouth, networking events. When it comes to paid advertisement, it gets a little bit more tricky. Definitely right about the target audience, excuse me, and going like specifically to Facebook and getting all that. But my question is, if you have a limited amount of budget, right, and you only have so many dollars to invest in advertisement, if so, scenario, if I have $1,000 and I wanted to, like that girl with the trinkets on the Stanley Cup, how can someone come up with a strategy that would actually turn that 1,000 into 2,000 instead of negative 100, if that makes sense?
If you know, because marketing online can be expensive, but if you know where your target market is and you have the right messaging, you might be able to get away with sponsoring something where your target customer is and them seeing your ad. And you've got to make it, your messaging has to be on point. So you got to have the right call to action. But you could sponsor something where you've got a women's event. If your customer is that, you go to a women's conference and you sponsor at that conference. Sometimes that can be $750 to sponsor at that conference. And now you've got all of your absolute target market looking at your ad with the right call to action, pays for itself 3, 4, 5 times over, depending on your offer. So, really, again, I can't emphasize it enough. You have to know who your target customer is because you'll know from that where those opportunities are to invest that small budget to get the biggest return back. And you'll know what marketing language to have in that advertisement that's really going to catch their eye and make them click yes. That answer your question?
Yeah, so just to repeat what you're saying. So you're saying if you got the avatar locked in, very clear on who it is that you're speaking to, and very clear on the messaging itself, you're more likely to be successful. So with those two
Absolutely.
things locked
You're
in.
going to you're going to know where to find them, and you're going to be able to find within that environment that they operate and move in, you're going to know where those opportunities are to invest that small budget to make it a bigger budget and then a bigger budget until you can do the online ads.
Understood. Thank you.
Hmm Any other questions? Choosing the channel. This is exactly what we just talked about. Understanding what you offer and who you offer it to is going to help you determine whether you're going to go someplace like Facebook or social media where it's national or worldwide versus something more local in your local paper or your local news channel or TV channel or your a local event, whether it's going to be something like a concert. I mean, those are going to be expensive at a concert, a major concert, but there's still plenty of things that you can do to market yourself as long as you know where your customer is going to see it. It's very expensive to try to advertise. When I see some of these homework answers that say, I have 5 different customers, or that I have, that the problem I solve is 3 or 4 different problems, it's going to be very, very difficult to make your marketing dollars work because your messaging cannot possibly be condensed down to cover 5 audiences and 3 problems. Your marketing messaging has to make that person feel you're talking directly to them. Their problem has to be about them. Because I've seen some homework assignments or answers where you're talking about the industry. People have problems doing this. Excuse me. People don't like when they have to do that. People have barriers. Well, who is people? You cannot create a marketing message just about people. Your marketing messages have to be about this person you want to buy your product or service. So that's how you make a small marketing budget feel big. Questions? Y'all quiet tonight. So who has a lead magnet? Anybody?
I'm still developing mine.
Uh-huh. What's it looking like?
It's more like uh like an ebook, talking about the importance of digital assets and how they can be used to be leveraged in your business. So like ebook kind of.
Mm-hmm. Ebooks are great. Are you charging for it or free?
It'd be free. As of right now, it'd be free.
Let me give you a little advice, all of you, about your lead magnets. Lead magnets are wonderful, and they are really useful in helping people get to know you and what you offer and what you do. If you're giving away a lead magnet, and goes for a blog, this goes for an ebook, this goes for anything you're giving away to your customer for free, it should contain the what and the why, and they have to pay for the how. Whatever your business or service is, you can tell them what it is that the problem is, why they need to solve the problem, how they solve the problem is what they pay you for. So are you clear on that? You don't want to, as small businesses, we want to just give away the kitchen sink because we think that's going to make more people come to us. But we're actually giving away our intellectual property, our special sauce. Our special sauce stays in-house. They pay for that. If you have a product business, you should also have some sort of service with that. If you have a service business, you should also have a product with that. And often that product is something like a digital asset. Again, what, why, or what and the why, they pay for the how. So make sure that lead magnet is something that is useful, something that really lets them not get to know you, but get to know that you know who they are. All of your material, this goes for all of marketing. All of your marketing needs to be about them. It needs to be about what they're going through. It needs to be about who they're going to be once you solve their problem. That's what the messaging has to be about. And that's all your ads, your radio, your news, your Facebook ads, all of that has to be about your customer, about who they're going to be once you solve their problem. And then and that can be all of your lead magnets. That's what's going to make them know, again, that you know what you're talking about and you're somebody that they can do business with. So think about that in your lead magnet. Oh, I also wanted to say for service businesses, it doesn't have to be something tangible. You can give away a 30-minute consultation. I think of Ebony, who has the business with leaders, executive leaders. Fantastic lead magnet would be a 30-minute, let's get on a call, talk about what you have going on, some of the problems that you're having, and then you can give that insight that we talked about of how let's turn that dial and say, is this somebody, so somebody who's reached out to you is clearly somebody who's wanting to solve the problem. That's your first check gate. Now that they've gotten on a call, you can turn all of their problems around to your solution. And that goes for anybody that gets on a sales call. Questions?
Kim, there's a question in the chat. I'm not sure if it was referring to the lead magnet or marketing in general, but the question is, what if it services both genders? Like, how does that change things?
Can someone come
I
off
think,
mute?
yeah. Jacana, if you can come off of mute to ask your question, that'd be awesome, please.
Yes. It was in regards to the lead marketing when you said be specific with your target person.
Yeah. It doesn't, if your target customer is male or female, that's not the differentiator, if you will. Again, think of just about any product that you buy, Tide, Jergens lotion, Coca-Cola, genderless. That's not the problem itself is not a gender problem. So you don't have to address that. The problem is something else besides that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, so when we're building our target person, so leave out gender basically.
If your demographics for your target customer
Mm-hmm.
has to be based on the problem that they're having. So
Oh,
if the problem is not a problem only for men or only for women, then gender would not be one of your demographics.
okay. Thank you.
Sure. Ebony.
Yeah, so you said that to do a 30-minute consult and talk about your solutions, is that the how that you're giving away or no?
Nope. Because
Okay.
when you have that consultation, and this goes for everybody, when you're in a sales conversation, it's 99% listening and 1% talking. So when you're having this consultation, a free consultation, you are more or less asking questions that are guiding them towards your solution. And you're asking questions to unveil their problems in a way that you already know you can solve. And so at the end of that sales conversation, it's a simple repeat back. Okay, so what I heard you say was, this is an issue, this is a problem, this is what this problem is causing. And I just want to talk to you and say that here's what I offer. This takes care of that problem. This that I offer takes care of that problem. this that an offer takes care of that problem. So you're essentially matching up your solution to their problems. You're not telling them how you're going to solve it. You're just telling them that you can solve it. Okay. Any other questions?
None in the chat.
All right. So again, here, your lead magnet needs to feel like it's valuable to them. It should not feel like you're just trying to sneak and get their information, because this is the other thing. A lead magnet that doesn't capture leads information isn't very useful to you. So however you set it up, that lead magnet has to lead them back to you and to a way that you capture their information. Some people have CRMs, customer relations management systems. You don't need to go that far. You can use Excel spreadsheet or Google Sheets. You can use a pen and paper. You just need something that's going to capture their name and email address. Minimum. Most people don't want to give up more than that for a free item, but name and email address. So whatever that thing is that you give them has to feel like it's a valuable exchange for my information. That could be anything, again, from a digital product to I would not say a physical product, but a live product, some sort of, you get to now come on a webinar that I'm going to give. You come to this, and I don't know how many of you have been on these calls. I have been on countless ones where they talk about how they're going, and they get you in the same way. This is the problem that you're having. Come to my masterclass, and you got to sign up for it here. You go to this masterclass, and it's a 5-hour masterclass, and 3 of the hours are all of the pain. The first one is usually an hour of, or a half hour of, this is who I am, this is why I'm so famous, and this is why you should eventually pay me. The next one is the social proof. Here's all the people that did pay me, and this is what they got. Okay, so now here's all the pain that you're going through and all the problems you're having because of it. And then the last one is, now I'm going to sell you a solution to that. Now, I gave up my email address for that. They'll give you a little bit of a workbook, maybe a little worksheet with a few little blanks in there for just to make it feel like you got something. You can easily do that, but it should be of some value. I have some examples here based on different types of businesses that you can kind of pull people in, but make sure, like again, with this free room for the first hour, that needs to be something that is part of another purchase. No physical thing should be given that's not part of another purchase. When somebody says, hey, if you buy this product, you'll get 10% off the second purchase. So you still have to buy something to get that coupon. But a coupon is a great way to get a great lead magnet to use to get people in your pipeline. The key is to get as many people, many customer or target customers into your pipeline. And if you do your marketing right, the people who are not your target customers will self-select out. So you don't have a whole bunch of people in here who would never buy from you to begin with, because they don't really have that problem. Does that make sense? Sasha.
I was just on one of those webinars that actually had us participate in a Guinness World Record challenge. And because of his viewers, he was able to win or participate and then, achieve this Guinness World Record, which made us feel like we were part of something even bigger with him. And I'm not gonna lie, I was excited. This was a 5-hour, not even a 7-hour sales pitch.
Mm-hmm.
This man was selling us, but it felt exciting and
Mm-hmm.
wonderful. And he gave us the pitch was crazy. But I have to say, to validate your point, you're very right about who he was talking to was
Mm-hmm.
like on point, and he didn't deviate from the message. But it wasn't just a sales pitch. It didn't feel like he was taking things from us, and he made us
Mm-hmm.
a part of his ecosystem. But you're 1,000% correct. And
Listen,
yeah.
it never feels like they're taking, but they are because you're walking away from that going, I still have the problem. I
Correct.
still, until I pay you, I still have the problem. And I just gave you hours out of my life that I'm never going to get back. But he knew how to craft the language such that you were willing to give all that time and still walk away feeling excited without ever getting your problem solved.
It's so true. It was crazy.
That's marketing, folks. You
Right.
can do it too.
Mhm.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Hello, good to see you guys again. So, I
Mhm.
wanted to get your feedback on something I made to see if this is a good example of marketing. I made like a small version of my menu with a picture of my room, my photo, description of the services, and in the bottom, it's 15% off with the QR code to my website. And I'll leave it in networking places, coffee shops, community centers, gyms, and so far has worked. I've been seeing people take it at the gym I go to. Is this a good way to also create leads?
I would say that you might get more leads if you made it about them versus you.
Okay.
Sounds like you have a menu of your services that's about you
Yeah.
versus this is about you. This is your customer's problem that you're talking about on that card. And then at the
Hmm.
bottom is your information to say, I can solve it, scan that QR code, make an appointment.
So I just need to adjust it a little bit.
I would, because I think you'll get more people. If I picked it up and I saw that you were talking about the problem that I have,
Hmm.
and you were talking about it in a way that made me think you really knew what you were talking about, and then maybe have something on the bottom that was like a customer testimonial where I saw that someone paid you and you got it done, and then you
Hmm.
just had your information on there, I would absolutely scan that. Be like, yeah, let me just
Yeah, good.
see.
It's a good idea to put a testimonial somewhere here. Thank you.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Any other questions?
I have a question,
Yes.
and please excuse me if you hear my toddler screaming at the top of her lungs in the background. I don't know. But so I thinking about like the things she just showed. So one of the things that I do have for my business is like a what is that?
A brochure?
Yes. So with that, of course, that talks about the services that I offer. So like with the brochure, should it be the same type of theme, like talking more about the customer and the
So
problem that you solve?
there's two different places. So something like that and something like what Tiffany had, to me, is something you give to someone who's once they've opted in, they've scanned that, they made that appointment, now they're coming in to learn more about your business, or maybe this was their first time coming to your business. That's when you would give something like that so that they could say, hey, what else? Now I've taken this service, I've had this service. Let me see what else they offer that I might buy. When you're talking about a lead, something that you want to get for people to come in, those lead magnets are about your target customer, not about you. And they're about your target customer and your target customer's problem. So both of
Okay.
those things would work. You would have one that's kind of internal. Once they're a customer, they've experienced you or they've come to talk to you. But the one that you're pulling the strangers in is all about that customer because that's also going to, like I said, it's going to help people self-select out and say, I don't have that problem, so I don't need to scan it. And you don't have to waste your time talking to a lot of people who really would never be customers. They're not your target customer. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Sure. So who here has a website? How many of us have actual websites? Imani, Candida.
I have one, but it needs to be redone.
Why would you say it needs to be done? Excuse me, redone.
Just when I did the website, it was like in the beginning of doing the business, and I just was playing around with it. And since I've had someone that creates websites look at it, and it just like it didn't have a call to action on the front page. It's a lot of gaps in between. So it just needs restructured. That it's been up and running, not doing anything.
Okay. That's a good reason to redo it. And I see a lot of folks on here, they do have websites, and some of them are redoing theirs. Your website, first, I just want to differentiate between a landing page and a website, because your landing page is typically a very focused one page web page that is designed to capture that lead magnet's information. So you can have something that a particular promotion that you're running, and you create a landing page that only the people who come to that page are coming because of this promotion, and you're capturing that information. Maybe you're selling a particular item or a particular service, and you create a one-page landing page, again, that's very directed. All the traffic to that page is from a specific campaign that's driving them to that space. That does not have to be your website. Your website should be something that's a lot more universal for your business. Really talks about what your business is, who it's for, how it solves the problem, who you are as the owner, a lot more information. If you have something that is specifically for leads, you want to make it as focused as you possibly can. You don't want that person to come to that website and leave without leaving their information. That is the purpose of this landing page, is to grab those leads. So whatever you sent, whatever information or messaging you use to get them there, it should match what they get when they get there, and quickly give them what it is you promised them. And then in return, they'll leave their email address. That is all that a landing page is for, a very specific thing, not the website. If you have a website, again, your website needs to be about your customer. Your website needs to make that person feel like you know what their problems are and that you can solve it. So if you're not doing that, you should definitely have your call to actions throughout there so people can see it and take action, but different than your landing page. And I also want to say that if you have some kind of campaign, because all of your lead activities need to be measured. You want to be able to say, if I spent, to Sasha's example, if I spent $1,000 on this advertising, I need to be able to measure how much money I made back from it. You'll hear on Shark Tank, ROAS, return on ad spend. I spent this much, I made this much. The only way you can do that is measuring. One easy way to do that is to use a specific coupon code, a specific QR code that sends them to a specific place for a specific time. So you can say all of the people who came during this time came from that QR code. All of the people who came and used this particular code, SR59, they came from this particular coupon. So now I can clearly see exactly where my traffic came from exactly how much I spent to get that traffic there and how much I made from this particular group of people. Does that make sense, everybody? It's very simple. Whenever you're doing something that's targeted like that, you should build in some way to measure the traffic that you get specifically from that ad spend. Okay.
Yeah, I do got a question. I hate
Yes.
to interrupt you, but I
No.
need to go back to the websites. Okay, so I have a website for my one business, and it do need to be revised, but I'm working on the other one, but it is difficult. It's not like the easiest thing to do, and the challenge that I'm having with the content, the what place, what in the right areas, and it is tough. Like, and I'm frustrated. I've been frustrated trying to do a website, and I bought software for my on my computer to build the website, but I still needed certain things, the domains and all of this. How I need a like website teacher or something. Like,
Well, see, it is hard, but it's so much easier now, honestly, with AI. Not because it can build it for you, it can, but more because you can then go to sites that you think are good sites. Go to a competitor or someone in the industry, it doesn't even have to be a direct competitor, that's doing it big. Go to their site, to somebody who's really knocking it out of the park. Drop that link into AI and say, what are the key points that they've put in here? What are the things that are the hooks? Because SEO is still a big thing. What are the SEO hooks they have in here? What break down the sections of the website so that I can mimic this for my website? You really use the tools to say, how do I take what I do and make it look like this? Their customers are your customers, and the things that hook their customers are the same things that are going to hook your customers.
okay, okay. I'm gonna try that.
Try
Hopefully it
that.
works.
Yes. Because once you understand who your customer is,
Mhm.
you'll understand what they're needing to hear from you. Your website
Okay.
isn't about you, isn't about your business. It isn't even about what you offer. It's about their problem. Their problem. And when you talk about their problem and your business just as a solution to their problem, the messaging changes completely. But use examples of people who are already doing it, and that'll help guide you.
Thank you.
Sure, Danielle.
I was just gonna share, I do not want to mess up your name, but the young lady who was just speaking, um, one of the things that I did, because with my website, I don't know how to build a website, and I was getting frustrated, but I use there's a site called Fiverr, so there's like freelance people on there who do a bunch of things, but I found someone on there to help me build. They built my website for me, and they like from start to finish, and it was very cheap. I think I paid like $150. And then they also taught me how to like go in and update it and stuff like that. So that may be something to look into. I'll drop the name in the chat too.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, please.
Well, I will also tell you too, because I'm a huge Fiverr fan. But when it comes to websites, you should be very careful because there are people who can design a website technically, like they know how to write the language and make the picture be over here instead of over here and move it around like that. But you need to make sure that the language, a website can be beautifully built, but if the messaging is still not ringing true to your target customer, then it's not going to convert the way you need it to convert. So just make sure that the design is, or the language is as important as the design. And whoever's going to do that, just make sure that they're able to evaluate that language if that's not a strong suit for you. That makes sense, everybody? So, why this is important. We talked a little bit about how the algorithms change, how sites can go on lockdown, how the government can even get involved in wiping out whole platforms. You get this lead magnet process together, you can talk to your target customer whenever you want to. When we get into this, the funnel image, which might even be the next slide, once we get into that, and you understand that this top of funnel, you'll see it called the top of the funnel, how many people need to be in there for you to sell at the bottom, you'll understand why it is so critically important that you own your customers, you own that communication channel. Because once you lose that and all of your, like I've seen people talk about recently, they've had a Facebook page for years and years, and Facebook shut it down. Gone. A whole history of who they are, what they've done, and all of their customers gone. And they don't even have a way to reach because they don't know. These people just were followers. If they have a contact list, your email contact list, that doesn't happen. And you can, again, nurture that. People who have bought from you before, it's a way to do that. One of the things I also wanted to ask, and I meant to ask this actually on the first class, what your product or service is that something people need many times or just one time? You can drop it into just many or one in the chat. Does someone come to you, once they come to you, is it just the one time, or do they come back to you many times? Many, Mercedes, many, repeat, many, good. Many, good. Ebony says depends. Many, but some people who require respite may only need it once. That's something you really should be thinking about. It's called a lifetime value of the customer. How do I build my product or service in such a way that there's continuing engagement from that customer? They continue to need to stay attached to me. Could it be from if I have so tailoring often, that's like, okay, if you tailor my clothes the first time, I'm going to come back with more clothes. Absolutely. But if I have something where I come to you for an event, a special event, I might not go to a special event again for another 5 years. Do you have a process of still reaching out and touching that customer to let them say, no, hey, I did a custom outfit for you, but I do tailoring. I can take this blouse that you don't really want to get rid of, and I can bring it in now that you got on the shots. I can bring it in for you so it looks all curvy. Whatever that is, you should have that as a process for your business. Something that takes that customer and then you continually reach out to them through your email channel to let them know what else you have to offer, that they can come on in and take advantage of of your offer. So think about that when you're creating your business model. And we also talked a little bit in the homework about capacity. You want to have as many revenue streams as possible that make sense, that you can then continue to sell that customer, that is not a one-shot deal or a one and done when they come do business with you. So again, for this, get your process together for collecting those leads. Getting the leads is one thing. You're marketing together to get those leads. Get a process immediately together so that you know, one, how you're going to capture them, but also how you're going to communicate with them. What's the process now that you've got that list? What are you going to be talking to them about? Remember the psychographics. Perfect opportunity to pull that in and talk to them about what matters to them, not just what your business is and what you have to sell, because that's a quick and easy way for them to unsubscribe from you. But if you're talking to them about what matters to them, they will stay loyal to your list. Questions? Okay, so here's this beautiful
I'm
funnel.
sorry, I have a question.
Sure.
So, when I do it, especially when those people have do the custom, right? I offered them like not necessarily like an affiliate thing, but if they have like someone they recommend to me, they get like a stipend or something like that. Um, so does that count in line with the funnel too as well? Or
It
that's just
does
something
because
different?
they're bringing you leads, but do
Hmm.
you have a way to capture that?
Yeah, they like so I have like my landing page where it's they can type their information in for inquiry and it has like who recommended you or did somebody how did you find about hear about us? That's what it's called. And they could put like their person's name in it. And then once I get them and they get their custom thing done and everything's processed, I'll send them an email. Hey, thank you for the recommendation. Here is your, stipend. Appreciate it.
So it sounds like you're doing some good things that I heard, if I'm understanding right, that
Mhm.
the referring person does not get the stipend until that person
Yes, yeah.
referred does business. Perfect. Yes.
Hmm.
And you're able to capture that person's information. Now the question is, from a process and a lead nurture standpoint, if someone refers you and they don't buy, if someone refers you and that person comes to your site, but they don't buy, do you have a process for continuing to reach out to them and nurture them along and let them know what you offer till they do buy?
Um, Not necessarily. Most of the time it's like a relationship built. So like um we'll kind of do because we talk. And then like if something comes up or of course like the weight loss and I also do have a charity where I get plus size clothing for plus size people who needs it. Um and though hey, I got clothes, I lost weight or something, so it's like a relationship. It's not necessarily I haven't put it into a process yet.
That would be good to do. And the process is about, again, nurturing. That's what it's called, nurturing your leads. So if let's say Keisha referred me to you and I went to you and I talked to you about an outfit idea, decided not to do it, there still should be a process where you're occasionally just sending me emails to let me know you're still out there, let me know still what you do, because I might forget. I might not think about it in the time, but once I get that email, I go, hey, that's right. I got this thing coming up and I don't have the money to buy a new thing, but she can alter what I have and make it look hot. But that's the process that you want to have built in, and it can be automated. It doesn't have to be something you're doing individually, something that you've automated so that all the leads on your list get the same email, and it's a really just a trickle sequence that you give to them. So just to keep you top of mind, because that is exactly where this level lays on the funnel. So we're going to go through this. This side is what that kind of customer journey we talked about. This side is what you're doing at that point in the customer journey. So here they're strangers, never heard of you before, just happened to pass something on Facebook, Instagram, saw your business, maybe driving down the street. Now they've come and they've looked you up. So this is what they're seeing. They're seeing your social media ads, any posts, any particular advertisements that you had. They're Googling you. Now they're trying to figure out, who is this business? What do they do? Can they really solve my problem? Once they've done that investigation, they now become a lead. Now they've signed up on your website or your landing page for that free lead magnet, that download, or they signed up for that consultation, whatever that is. They've decided, I think she does have this. And at this site, this is what they're experiencing. There's your website, your blog posts, they're reading through your Substack, all of these things and saying, yep, I'm pretty sure I want to investigate further. Once now they're a prospect. Now that they have seen and pretty much decided that unless you are cost prohibitive, I'm willing to do business with you. So I want you to pay attention to that. That's what makes this so important. This lead to prospect jump is such an easy way to lose the customer. Because if you don't have this, where we talked about that customer journey, if this isn't smooth, they will opt out right there and put you off to the side and not look at you again. If they get a great experience here, the only thing that will pull them out is price. And then that's not something you change. That's their thing. If they decide the value is commensurate with whatever you're charging, they'll still buy. But this jump is what is such an easy, if you do this right, it's such an easy way to drop them down to the next level, to the engagement. So here's where they might reach out to you and ask a question. Here's where they might go to a webinar that you're hosting. They might DM you on social media to just get that personal touch from you. By the time they do that, they're pretty sure they're going to buy. They're just now kicking the tires, so to speak. Then they come down to the evaluator level. They've done the tire kicking. They're ready to pretty much say, I think this is everything that I was looking for in a vendor for whatever problem that I have. I might do a couple of little comparisons, ask a couple of people at this stage, but I'm pretty set. I've done all of the investigation and evaluation, and now I'm ready to be a customer. This is where you have a checkout page. You want to have all of that experience be easy to get their money. Easy to get their money. You don't want to send them to 5 different sites. You don't want to have a strange checkout process. You don't want to limit the checkout process. You want to make that part easy for them to give you their money. And if you've done all of that right, and then you have some kind of service after the sale, because that's also a great way to build your lead funnel, is by having that personal touch once they've bought from you. You don't want to make them feel like, I got your money, I don't care about you anymore. It can be as simple as a scheduled email 7 days after the sale that says, hey, I really appreciate you purchasing our products. I hope you like it. Please come back and let us know if there's any problems. If you have a really good experience, please post here. Go right here with a link. Go right here and leave a testimonial. Tell us what you think. Completely automated. And then guess what? 30 days out, you can schedule another one that goes, how you doing? Hope you're enjoying this product or service. Hope your problem is all solved. If you have any problems, come back and let us know. We're here to help you be successful. But we know that based on all of our previous customers, you're probably living the life of Riley right now. We hope you do. Whatever that brand voice is you have, just trickle. Make sure you stay in touch. That's what's going to make somebody go to somebody else and say, you really need to buy from these people if you have this problem. So I want to emphasize that this side of it is very important. This is what you want to have in place. These are the things you want to be thinking about when you're building that customer journey. When they're going from here to here to here to here, what are they really doing in your business? What are they encountering? What are they seeing? What are they reading? What are they listening to? Are you on YouTube? What are they watching? All of that stuff is what they're doing here. And I want you to also think about you. Oops. Think about you as a customer, because you go through this same funnel for other people. Think about the experience you like to have as a customer. Create that same experience for your customers. Questions, because this one is important. When you, with the math, and I don't think we have it in this slide, but the math is such that you could have 800 leads up here. 800, depending on what your business is and your marketing activities, 800 up here. But you could only have 8 come out of the bottom down here. 800 leads to get you 8 sales. That's not unrealistic. So you really, for your business, and this is something you can look up and definitely something you can find out from the library, but you can even Google this for your industry. What is the conversion rate from a lead to a sale? You will see these things are, and they'll give it to you in percentages, 2%, 12%, 18%. Simple, plug it in, just scenarios. If I have 1,000 leads and my conversion rate is 10%, how many sales do I get out of that? Drop that in the chat. If I have my conversion rate is 10%, I have 1,000 leads in the top of my funnel. How many people am I going to sell out of those 1,000? That one's easy. 1,000 people, 10% conversion. 100 people. Perfect. Thank you. So think of all the work it's going to take to get 1,000 people to even get into the funnel for you to get 100 out of the bottom. That's why you have to constantly be thinking about lead generation. You have to have a process for lead generation, because as a solopreneur, you can't afford to have all of your energy selling these 100 people only to look up and your funnel is empty again, because you haven't been doing the lead generation to keep people falling into here while you're servicing them down here. Does that make sense for everyone? Because even at this stage, especially at this stage, lead generation is crucial. Whose question? Okay. Lead generation is crucial, and it's a process. Now with AI, there's tons of tools that can help you automate a great deal of this. But it won't work if you haven't done the fundamentals. If you haven't figured out who that target customer is, where that target customer is, what kind of messaging they need to hear to get to this spot here at the top. That's where all of this work ties together. And that's how you get that whole process being automated, and your energy becomes down here in the sales. All of this stuff above that can be automated. Okay. targets. So that's one of the things that you can use to measure how well your efforts are doing. You can set a target based on, when we did the homework, we talked about what our capacity is. We talked about how much our costs are. And then we also talked about what our expenses are. So if you know your total monthly expense that you have to operate your business is $5,000, and you know how much your services are, you know how many you have to sell to make that $5,000. That's just division. $5,000 divided by my average price of my services is $50. So I say, how many $50 do I need to sell to make my 5,000? And let's say that is 100. How many leads do I have to get based on the conversion rate for my industry? How many leads do I have to get to make 100 sales in a month? And then that's where you're looking at your capacity. Can I service 100 customers in a month? Can I produce 100 deliverables in a month? Now, if the answer is no, that doesn't mean you turn down people. Let's say your capacity is 20, you don't turn away those 80 people. If you can get 80 people ready to buy, you go, how do I expand my capacity? How do I get more hands in here doing this work so that I can service 80 people? Now, I also saw some in the homework, people talking about hiring people to expand capacity. When you are this size, the best way I know of to expand capacity is to break down what you do into steps. So let's say I am a cupcake maker because I like sweets. And I have a process for making cupcakes. And I've broken that down to 12 steps because the way I make cupcakes is so delicious that people just beat down my door for my cupcakes, and I'm ready to grow. I'm going to break down my steps into 12. It takes me 12. I can chunk it down into 12 steps to go from no cupcakes to a fully cooked pan of cupcakes. I'm then going to say steps 1 through 3, anybody can do. Steps 1 through 3 is measuring out the flour. I don't cook, y'all, so don't expect me to have real examples with this. So the steps 1 through 3 are easy. They're pulling the dry mixes down. They're mixing the eggs. I'm gonna chunk that out. And then steps 4 through 7 let's say 4 through 8. Steps 4 through 8 are a little more involved. That's where the oven temperature has to be right. The pan has to be greased a certain way. Whatever that is, that's a little bit more involved than the 1 through 3. So steps 9 through 12 are the special sauce. 9 through 12, I have to do. So guess what? When I hire, I'm going to hire at a very competitive but minimal cost for steps 1 through 3. That's going to be my first hire. This is a plug and play hire. Pretty much anybody can do steps 1 through 3. And that frees me up to do steps 4 through 12. And I can kind of so now I've expanded my capacity. I have a hire that I can manage, and that the cost of that hire doesn't put me in the red because it's a low wage hire, but now I can bring in more capacity. Guess what? So now, as we get that well-oiled machine going, I can move her up. I'm saying her. I'm moving her up because she's done steps 1 through 3. She's got that down cold. She knows the business. She knows me. She knows she's watched how I work. I've trained her a little bit. She's going now to steps 4 through 8. And I'm bringing somebody else in for 1 through 3. And guess who's going to manage this other person? The person I moved up is going to be managing this new hire. So I've expanded my capacity. I'm still keeping my secret sauce. That's steps 9 through 12. But now I can get people in doing the stuff without what we've seen and what we've encountered is you want to bring somebody in and make them equal. And you want to teach them everything you know and train them on everything you know. And one of two things, they get in there, they either don't really want to do it, so they start and then they feel like this is too much and they leave, or they come in and get all your intellectual property and go and take and open a business on their own. You don't need to worry about that because you've kept your secret sauce to yourself. And now you've still expanded your capacity, but you've taken the things that really don't need your specialty and trained other people to do them. Does that make sense? That was a kind of long-winded story, but does that make sense? That's really how you want to expand your capacity so that you're not turning away business, but also not putting yourself in a bankrupt position. Mecca.
Yeah, so I was just gonna ask, so I have basically like a leadership pathway program within my program. And so once the students graduate from our program, they're able to come back as alumni and then participate in different roles. So for instance, right now I have an alum that is like my media assistant. So that takes off the like me having to be the camera person as well. So is that something similar to like what you're referring to?
It is. Yours is a little unique where you are bringing back people who you've educated, so to speak, um, to take a piece of it off, but you're bringing them back. Sounds like you're bringing them back in specific areas where I'm saying you're going to really lay out your process because this is something you're going to want to do anyway. Your standard operating procedure. This is how we get the work done. Then you're going to bring somebody at the lower scale to literally take the early steps to the mid steps to the high steps. I don't know where your media person fits into there, like which chunk of steps, but you want to make sure when you're doing that it's with a graduating path. When you hire people, just like when you get hired, you don't want to be hired in this single lane and you're never going to be out of all you're ever going to do at this job is this one thing. You want to have a growth path for them. So that's why the setting them to do these early tasks and then moving them up is a great way to retain them and train them without them walking out the door with your intellectual property. That
Sure,
answer your
thank
question?
you.
Sure. Anybody else have questions on that? So here, you want to be thinking about what your target is. You have to really get into the numbers. Many of you on the homework kind of clump together your costs, clump together what it is you charge people. You really have to break that out so that you know what this target is. This monthly revenue number requires you to really know to the detail what it is you're spending per customer, what it takes to deliver this product per customer or per unit, and how many people you have to bring in to make that number. That's really the math that needs to be done for you to set this monthly target for leads. Chicana.
So, what do you think about like utilizing interns when you do like the breaking down of things? I know they're not technically paid, but some do it to get like the college credits and things like that. And then most of the time, some do return to like get employed. But what do you think about utilizing that, especially as us as smaller businesses?
Be very careful because one, you do have that situation where they will come back, but you could also end up where you're just in this constant spin of training people because these people coming and going, coming and going, coming and going. But what you also need to recognize in New York State, there's no such thing as volunteers in your business. If people are doing work in your business, they must be paid, even if they're family, even if they're spouses. So you could get in trouble for people doing work without paying them. So just make sure whatever that relationship is, it's a very clear relationship and you have all of the structures in place that you should have as an employer if you're bringing other people in to do work for you. So again, this target is what you're going to want to shoot for, but you're not going to be able to create that number if you haven't done the numbers on what you need to make. For your pitch, when you're talking about your lead generation statement, you want to make sure that you can clearly articulate that you have a process, that you measure the efforts in that process. You can actually put numbers to what you're doing for lead generation and clearly show, because if you're going to say, I'm going to make $500,000 next year, that's going to be how many sales is that 500,000 and how are you going to make that 500,000? And then you show that through your lead statement. You're going to be able to show, I'm going to have enough leads coming in here to convert them to sales, and that sales is going to equal this revenue. So that's a very simple statement that you want to make, but you want to know the numbers. I'm going to say this here because when we do this, let's get into the pitches and we really start working on those pitches. Numbers are important in pitches. You are asking people for money, and those people want to know that you know what you're doing, and this is an actual business because your business is a revenue generating asset. You should be thinking about it that way all of the time. It is a revenue generating asset. So they're going to want to know that you know how to generate revenue with your business. These numbers are going to be important in the pitch. Even if you're not pitching, I highly recommend you get very well schooled on your numbers. So your activities is design a lead magnet. If you already have one, you can redesign what you have. But this is something that, again, I think will be beneficial to you and your business as an asset that you can use to fill that pipeline. And that whole funnel exercise is something you're going to want to pay attention to. How do I fill my funnel? How do I keep people continually dropping into that top of funnel that I can then take them through the journey and make them customers? This is real business, folks. This is how we do business. There's no business on earth that does not need to do it this way. Leads equal sales, equal customers. If you're not making leads, you're struggling, you're scrapping, you're waiting for other people to bring you customers. That's a quick way to go out of business. You want to control that lead process as the owner of this business. Lead magnet is just one way. If you already have one, great. If you don't want one for your business, you don't have to, but it is a great way to get leads. Questions? We have 10 more minutes. So questions, how was this for everyone?
I have a question. I
Yes.
have one of my ways to get leads. I say if you bring me a cleaner or you get a sale for me, you get 10% of that sale, and then whoever makes the purchase gets 10%, whether it's
either the service or any of my digital products. How can I, when if you was to bring me someone who goes to my website and they like don't make a purchase, how can I keep them?
I have a question first before we get there. You're giving away 20% of a sale?
To try to get more sales. Yeah.
Girl, if you don't quit giving away your money, what? I would highly reconsider giving away 20% of each of your sales. I would say if someone brings you someone as a referral, you can give them a discount off of their service so that they're still having to buy a service and then get 10% off of that.
Okay.
And the person who comes in and gets the service, they're getting the service. They don't need 10%. They're getting the service. I mean, how many businesses have you been to where you walked in and they said, "Hey, just for coming here, we're giving you 10% of this sale back in your wallet." Girl. let's reconsider that first and foremost. But second, your website should have a like a name email form on it.
Yeah,
That
I have
should
that.
So
On there.
whoever comes there, you should have something. Your lead magnet is what encourages them to put the contact information in there, even if they don't buy.
Okay.
So your lead magnet could be something about how to clean. You could it could be something about how to the timing of, I'm not sure if you do, I think I saw in one of the chats, you did something with chemicals where you don't use chemicals. Is that you?
Yeah, I have non-toxic chemicals, non-toxic cleaning products.
Perfect. So you could have a lead magnet that talks about all the ways that those toxic cleaners are ruining these people's lives. So they can go, holy moly, I need to hire her because she doesn't use these terrible cleaners. So they can download it, but in order to download it, they have to put their email address in there.
Okay.
And stop giving away your money today.
Okay, I'll go back and redo my website some more.
Yes, ma'am, please. Any other questions?
Question.
Yes.
Did you send the homework back? Because I didn't get mine.
I'm going to be sending some right after this class, and I think yours
I
was
don't
one
want to
that
rush
I
you.
got done. So
Okay.
I'll get that out right after this class. The others that I didn't get to, because some of you I sent back and then you sent it back again. So I'll get to yours either later tonight or early tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Tomorrow afternoon, I have an event, but if you don't get it by tomorrow morning, you'll definitely have it by tomorrow night. But you, Latoya, I know I've done yours, so you'll get it right after this class.
I appreciate that. I don't want to rush you. I just want to make
Oh.
sure I didn't miss something.
Nope, you're good. Thanks for reminding me.
I appreciate that.
Uh-huh. Sasha.
Hi, Kim.
Hello.
I realize I haven't really been introducing myself to the group. Sasha Navar with Navar Media, creating visual storytelling with photography and videography. Okay, so I love that you talked about the funnel. I love a good funnel. I think about funnels constantly. The thing about it is, though, is I am mainly focused on that the delivery stuff takes up so much more of my time. And if I'm being completely honest, skill-wise, I have less skills with the delivery stuff than I have with the acquiring of the customer. And I have no problem with sharing revenue. I hired someone last year and I was able to share revenue while they delivered the product and I acquired the client. Perhaps you'll speak on it in these 7 weeks. But essentially, as the business owner, focus on the acquiring of the clients, the marketing. How do you balance that piece with the delivery in a way that doesn't make you feel like you want to pull your hair out?
Well, as the business owner, this is for everyone. Your job as the owner is to find work for your employees. That is your job, your primary job, and you are your first employee. If you have figured out that your strengths lie in the acquisition, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you hiring out the creative. But just like I just talked about, you need to know what your special sauce is in the delivery. And you need to make sure that you are maintaining that intellectual property. So they're doing maybe 90% of the delivery, and you're doing that last 10% special sauce piece. And that extra time that you have, because they're doing the delivery, you spend on acquisition. Is that clear? Because you don't want your business totally in the hands of someone else's creative desires. Like I always say this, use this example, that McDonald's does not care one iota how many people love your French fries. When you put that little visor on with those golden arches, you will make them the McDonald's way. And that is what allows McDonald's customers to have the same tasting fries wherever they go in the country. So you want your business, and this is again, everybody, you want your business to feel the same for all of your customers. You want them to all get that same level of delivery. That only comes from you creating processes for your delivery. Whatever that delivery is, whatever that product is, you have a process for it. You can do all of that process and the owner work, or you can farm out some of that process and still do the owner work. But you must maintain the owner work, and you must maintain your special sauce. You must maintain that McDonald's grease, whatever that grease is that makes them fries taste like McDonald's fries. You need to maintain that. Does that answer your question?
It does. It definitely gives me something to think about that I haven't really thought of before. So thank you.
Okay. India.
I just have one quick question. I heard you saying like keep 10% of that special sauce. But my thought process is if something happens to me and nobody doesn't know how to do it, then my business is done. So don't I want someone to know what to do if I'm out of town or I'm in a hospital or I want my business to keep moving. So somebody need to know how to make my collard greens and my mac and cheese and
Well, they do, but that needs to be someone that you have mentored and cultivated and grown up in your business, that you trust with your intellectual property. And I would even say it's not even something they know. It's something they know where to find if there's an emergency where you're not there. Because you cannot just willy-nilly be teaching people the special way you make your greens and your mac and cheese, and then they're suddenly you see them at a pop-up event selling collard greens and mac and cheese and your customers no longer feel like you're special. I can go here and get it because they're probably selling it cheaper. But as long as they know where to find it, if something happens, you have some way to saying, hey, family, here's the master key to this safe where the information is. So if anything happens to me, open the safe and give it to her. Done. Yes. Tiffany says, like a master chef mentoring another chef. They trust to carry the special ingredients and the ways of cooking, but you gotta keep your differentiator. Your intellectual property is valuable. There is value in it. Treat it as valuable. Intellectual property is the stuff people patent, people trademark intellectual property. There's a reason, because you don't just want that given out freely to people to do with what they want to do with it. That's right. Ebony said, as long as I'm alive, them recipes stay under lock and key. Keep them locked and know where to find them. But your special stuff is your special stuff. See? Working in a bakery and somebody was selling them cookies out the back window. You know how that is? So if anybody has any other questions, comments, I hope this was helpful. It was a kind of lot squeezed into tonight, but lead generation is so important. I just want to make sure you get that. It is so important.
I just have a quick question.
Yes.
I just want to make sure. So the homework that we should have turned in by now was like the problem and solution statement, the Canvas, and then the assignment from Monday, right? So far,
Yes.
am I
Well,
missing anything else?
Monday is not due until next Monday. The
Oh, okay.
outfit is next Monday. This lead magnet, if you choose to do it, will be next Monday.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Sure. Jacana?
You're so, I just had like a moment because you're so spot on about that special sauce thing. I had a family member who assisted me and she helped me like get some orders in and things done for like New York Fashion Week. And she helped me like do some stuff and I was showing her how to do it and where to do it. So she was telling people that she did the designs and stuff like that. And it was like, what? And
Yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
so you're so true. That is so true.
I don't think I know a single small business that doesn't have the story. So treat your intellectual property as valuable. So good night for all the folks that are dropping off, but any questions, I'm certainly available to answer.
Kimberly, I have another question,
Yes.
and I'm not quite sure how to phrase it, but I hope it's understood.
Okay.
My platform is an online platform, and we're talking about lead generation. Is there a system that can be incorporated into a website to kind of like analyze lead generation outside of like a form? Is there a system that you would recommend to kind of help with that?
When you say analyze lead generation, what do you mean?
I meant like collect the data, like 2% came off of a Google and then to my website. 10% came from Facebook, then to my website. You know what I mean? Something like that. I'm making this up. I don't have my website yet. I'm
Yes,
just
again,
thinking, like, is that a thing?
the beauty now now is probably the best time in history to be a small business. Things that you would have had to hire out, you can do now on your own with AI. I don't know if you use Claude. If you don't, you better run
I love
and
Claude.
get it.
Claude,
My
yes.
man,
Yes,
my man, you hear me? You hear
yes.
me?
I'm starting to use Manus too. I'm just learning it. Everything is just such a big learn, and I don't know what to focus on. That's kind of how I feel.
Yes, that's understandable. But once you lay out your processes, then you can just do a little at a time. But again, Claude is who said what is Claude? Jacana,
I
Lord.
use it for the research, and you can get leads from Claude. I wrote that in my homework, I think.
You can get
Um,
leads, but
yeah.
you can collaborate with Claude. Claude is a phenomenal collaborator. Look, if you don't, I want you to get off of here and get right on this right now.
Mhm.
Uh, so Claude is a
Right
wonderful,
now.
you better get it. A wonderful collaborator. You can put into Claude, I don't know where to start. Here's what I need to do. Help me, and use them like that to really pull, can't you see, that's why you were giving away money, because you didn't know Claude. You better get up, Candida, you better get on there too. But so you can get in there and say, I'm not quite sure where to start. Here's what I need to do. Here's what I'm trying to do. But the beauty about Claude is what I was about to say is you can integrate him right in Excel. Him. Yes, you can integrate him directly into Excel, and you can say, okay, I have leads. I want to create a spreadsheet to help me measure my lead traffic. Here are the places, and Claude will literally build you the spreadsheet. Not even say, hey, put a formula here. He will build you the spreadsheet. All these people who's talking about they don't know who Claude is, that's your assignment, that's your homework, that's your real homework. You better get on there, because Claude is changed my whole life. But yes, Latoya, that is a wonderful use of him inside of Excel to help you create that whole dashboard and measuring system.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I didn't think of that, but that was very helpful. I appreciate it.
Sure. Show enough with the clothing. Yes, Claude, listen, look, ain't nothing I don't go to Claude for, just so y'all know. That's if Claude went away today, I probably would be in the hospital tomorrow. Woo! Yes, indeed. Indeed. Any more questions? Any more people that need to drop off here and go get on Claude right now?
I have a question.
Yes.
So I am starting to do clients for my PR firm. I have been scheduling desk sides. I'm working with a bakery, and I've been starting to um do either digital or in-person desk sides. Um, Now, is it beneficial for, I'm sorry, I forgot my question. Is it beneficial for both me and my client to be there? I mean, I would do prep work, right? And then she would just show up second, or no? Or did I not say it right?
Say it again once more.
So a digital desk side is when you pitch the media or a journalist, sorry, when you pitch a journalist about an upcoming business. So I've been scheduling this desk sides. Um, I had one last week at 585 Magazine, and then I have another one tomorrow, for 13 Wham. Um, so I'm sorry. So probably where my question would that be lead generation as well, or would
No.
their target market too?
Lead generation are the marketing efforts that you're using to bring people to you specifically for
Yeah,
your
but I'm
business.
finding their customers are going to be coming to us if it's something that is said by um by the main person, right? Or no?
Whose customers are going to be coming to you?
So 585 Magazine's customers are coming from them to my consumer, my bakery, my consumer's bakery, my client's bakery.
Your client's bakery, but not yours.
Right. So I'm helping her out and not and taking away. Okay, I think okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Big deal.
Sure. All right. Well, everybody have a great night. Thanks for joining and for hanging on. I will be again going back to get the homework out the door. So, um, if you don't get it tonight, that means I didn't finish it early today. But I think I got at least a few of you done already. So you'll be getting it.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Good night. Good night.
Good night,
Thank
guys.
you. Bye,
Good.
everyone.